Hello, I'm Simon Maddrell from Excellent Development, the Pioneers of Sand Dams. I'd like to talk to you today about a technology which I believe can transform millions of lives in dryland areas of the world. There's been a lot of talk this week about the utilisation of groundwater to provide clean water for both people and animals, but the beauty of sand dams is that they're actually a technology which recharges the aquifer rather than utilises the water that's there. So a sand dam is a reinforced concrete wall that's built across a seasonal river with a sandy sediment. What happens when the seasonal rains come, it fills up with water. With soil in, the sand in the water sinks, the silt stays suspended in the water and goes over the top. Within sometimes a couple of days or a couple of seasons, the dam will fill up with sand. The beauty is that 25 to 40% of the volume below the sand is actually water. You can picture, just as you do walking along the beach when the tide's going out, water under your feet. And sand dams hold between 2 and 20 million litres of water that provide local communities with a year-round supply of water, but most critically, a supply of water that now is within 30 to 90 minutes of their home and not 2 to 5 hours, and in droughts 12 hours away from people's home. Now, one of the beauties as well is that sand dams are built by communities themselves. So the community will approach Excellent Development and approach our African Sand Dam Foundation, our partners in Kenya, and they will ask to be given a sand dam and given the support to do that. The deal is that they work themselves to collect all of the sand, all of the stones, all of the water. They actually participate in the building of the dam with support of 2 or 3 craftsmen. And then they have a solution which is owned by them. They're registered with the government and with the water authorities, and they're able to then control and manage that water for the best use and for the needs that they've identified for themselves. They can abstract water a traditional method like a scoop hole. They can put an infiltration system and have a tap, or they can have an infiltration system going into a shallow well to maximise the speed at which people can utilise water. Without shallow wells, the operation and maintenance of sand dams is virtually zero. I would say maybe 5% of sand dams that are built may need a small amount of repair. They may need an extension to enable the river to continue flowing as it did before, but it's a water solution that I've seen sand dams 60 years old. I've been involved in building sand dams that are already 25 years old. So the opportunity that they have to transform people's lives is clean water, but it's also what they can do with those hours and hours every day that they save in collecting water. They're able to set up vegetable nurseries. I have a great example of one river in southeast Kenya that over a 2 or 3 kilometre area they've got 3 sand dams, and they've now producing 50 acres of vegetable nurseries. These are vegetables and crops that they can grow all year round rather than just during the normal growing periods, and the farmers there export vegetables from one of the driest areas in Kenya to Mombasa hotels. This enables the families to improve their own nutrition through eating them themselves, but the surplus that they get enables them to pay school fees for kids who now can go to school because they're not either looking after kids at home or collecting water for themselves. But I believe, whilst I believe very much that the community solution is vital, if I had a real dream about sand dams, what I would say is that they have a much, much greater potential. I've seen sand dams that actually can have such a volume of water that 40,000 cubic metres a year, 50 to 100 cubic metres a day of yield that enables them to be connected to pipe systems and kiosks and water tanks to provide water even closer to people's homes. One of the massive potentials with sand dams is for governments to look at them in a public works programme. Africa is scattered and with seasonal roads, seasonal river crossings that, generally speaking, the technology used is culverts. What this tends to do is to try and channel the water through a narrow space, creates erosion behind the bridge, erosion after the bridge, and very often washes the bridge away completely. If you built a double sand dam in one of those seasonal rivers, you would be able to create, in effect, a ford on one side and a weir on the other, and provide a much stronger crossing at lower cost for both people and vehicles, which obviously has an economic benefit in itself. But of course, not only that, you've got millions of litres of water now stored behind that will allow vegetation to grow naturally and will provide people with a clean water supply. On that basis, it creates another potential. If you look at Tsavo East Game Park and Tsavo West Game Park in Kenya, in 2009 there was 300 hippo that died of starvation. Now, elephants were walking kilometres and kilometres, and funnily enough actually, elephants walked 40 kilometres from Tsavo Game Park to get water from a sand dam that was pumping 10 million litres of water out every year, even though there'd been one day of rain that year, and that was 9 months ago. So you could say that sand dams are almost a miracle, but what I do know is that the amount of water that can be stored safely, reducing evaporation, no open water vectors to suffer malaria, to provide malaria problems, reducing diarrhoea because of bilharzia and all of the waterborne diseases that are there, and sand, which of course filters water clean. So the potential for sand dams to transform dryland environments at a time when climate change is creating even greater variability of rainfall, both in terms of excess and not enough. I really do believe that sand dams can do something to contribute to the other water solutions that exist in the world, such as boreholes and shallow wells, etc. And Excellent Development is committed not to grow an empire around the world, but to work with organisations who wish to apply the technology. It's not copy and paste. Apply the technology to their particular political economic environments, and we will support them to go through that process, and with our partner, the African Sand Dam Foundation, provide the technical support to allow them to pilot and then hopefully run big programmes of sand dams. So please look us up on excellent.org.uk, and I hope to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon.